Visby, in 1995, we came on the list of the UNESCO, the World Heritage List. And of course, one of the reasons why we landed on that list is the town wall. The first part of the wall was built around the year 1150. We don't know exactly when they started, but there is a tower, we'll reach it later on. We know that this tower was built 1151 because the wooden beams which were used to support the floors in this tower, they have made a so-called dendrochronological research on them so they can see the year rings. And they know that the wood that was used for these beams was brought down in the year 1151. So we know that they started at that period. The first part of Visby, which closed up with the wall, was this harbor part. They wanted, of course, to protect the harbor and the parts inside the harbor if there would be an attack from some, pirates and so on, because there were a lot of pirates in the Baltic Sea at this time. So they started to build here around the harbor. Around 1250, they then continued with the town wall outside in the town, and also towards the Gotlandic people on the island of Gotland. I'll talk more about that when we come to the higher part of Visby. What you can see here is quite funny. I mean, did they build houses like this? I mean, were they so small that they had the windows at the grass and so on? No, of course not. We are now standing about 1.5 meters higher than what the level was when the harbor here was in use. Because around 1450 the harbor was too shallow. Gotland has been rising out of the sea since the last inlandic ice, which left us around 12,000 years ago, and we are still rising a little bit every year, coming out of the sea. So in the end the harbor was too shallow and they couldn't bring in the ships here, so they had to move the harbor to the place where the harbor is now. And then this became more or less a garbage place. They threw everything which was left over in the city, just threw it here. So they have built up a lot of soil here, and we are now 1.5 meters above the original level. But you can also see that this house was built before the wall, because the wall ends at the house. So this house, one of the few that was standing before the town wall was built, which means that that house must be roughly built 1100 and maybe 30, 40, latest 1150. So it's an old house. Here is a concrete ramp, and the reason you see more of those ramps or sheets around the city of Visby when we walk around today. The ram or the sheep is the national animal, you could say, of Gotland. We have it as a symbol. So just a couple of years ago, an artist said, well, why can't we do anything nice out of these concrete blocks, you know, standing around, just making sort of no cars can go around. We can make them a little bit nicer. So he came up with the idea, and now they have made them out of concrete. They're standing around everywhere where there should be no cars then going. That's why we have it.
Can I get you sitting here?
So, we are inside now. We are in the old city of Visby. The street here, the beach street, was the lowest street in the city. Between the beach street and the wall, There were no houses except one or two which were built earlier. But the rest was just an open place, a big marketplace, the so-called Gotland place. St. Roland was the same factor of the trade people, and that's why in most of these Hanseatic cities you have a Roland place somewhere. There was one big house in this marketplace. It was in this garden in here. There is nothing left of it now, city, because that was the townhouse, the city hall of Visby. The city hall was a big house, roughly 20 times 40 meters, 3 or 4 stories. We don't know exactly because there are no pictures left over. We don't know exactly how high it was, but it was quite big and important house for sure. This house was also called the wine house because all the goods which were taken into Visby to be traded and sold in the city of Visby itself should be tested by the mayor and his people, and they were sitting in this house. Then you have to imagine now that all the wine barrels which they used here in the city, they were brought in here, put up here in front of this house, and all these people, the politicians of that time, they came out with a small wine glasses, each and every barrel. And you can imagine, I mean, I can see them coming and... Are you sure? I think we have to test one more time. So, that's why people in the city just call this house also the wine house. This will be around Yeah.